Joining me today on the podcast is not one, not two, but three triathletes who are all actually alumni of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program. They've all had a massive year in 2023 and done some pretty epic things. And what I wanted them to do is share with you what they've been up to, like insight into what they've personally been working on with their nutrition to level up their performance. Now, before we dive in, doors to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy are currently open for the first time this year. They do close on Monday, the 22nd of Jan in Australia. If you're in the US like these guys, it'll be Sunday afternoon, the 21st of January. So head to dietitianapproved.com/academy if you want to come and join us. And if 2024 is the year that you want to focus on your nutrition and really dial in the fourth leg. Welcome to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast, the show designed to serve you up evidence-based sports nutrition advice from the experts. Hi, I'm your host, Erin, accredited practicing dietitian, advanced sports dietitian, and founder of Dietitian Approved. Listen as I break down the latest evidence to give you practical, easy-to-digest strategies to train hard, recover faster, and perform at your best. You have so much potential, and I want to help you unlock that with the power of nutrition. Let's get into it. Joining me today, we have Gail from Illinois, Erin from North Carolina, and Chris from Pearland, Texas. Now, I honestly didn't realize that we did this, but you're all from Team USA. So welcome, guys.
Hey there, Erin.
Missed you, Chris. So you guys have all completed the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program back in 2023. So you're officially the big kids and have graduated, and you're actually out the other side in our alumni program, the Supercharged Squad. So I wanted to get some thoughts from you around sort of what you've been doing with your nutrition over the last 12 months or more, and then what you're kind of working on as we head into 2024, because it's not something that you kind of just set and forget with nutrition. It's something that is always evolving and we're always learning. I'm always learning, and I've done, 6 years of university level study in nutrition, and the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. So Erin, you've had a huge year. What have you achieved in 2023, and what sort of things have you been working on with your nutrition?
Well, if I look back to about a year ago, and that's actually when I jumped into the academy. So 2023 really was my year of figuring out the fourth leg, the nutrition part of it. And probably the first time that it all came together was at Eagle Man in June. So I was about 6 months into the program at that point. The puzzle pieces were really starting to fall together. And the timing of it was just kind of perfect that I was able to get a really huge PR there and then still continue. Like you always say, N equals 1. We are little experiments of ourselves. So still continuing to tweak that and work on it through my races throughout the rest of the year.
And what about you, Chris? You just did something crazy. You did like an 8-day ride and then backed that up with a 70.3.
I did.
You've had a huge year. What sort of things have you been up to?
I had a huge year. So I finished earlier in 2023, and it was good timing because at the beginning of the year I had a Escape from Alcatraz triathlon, which was a specialized deal, and then I did Ironman Chattanooga, which was a little too hot. And then finished out the year, like you said, with this long 8-day, 500-mile ride where I rode from San Francisco to Los Angeles. And then the next weekend did 70.3 Waco and punished myself horribly. It wasn't the wisest decision, I'll admit, but I wanted to do it. So I figured out, I made it happen. But the nutrition went really well. So I was able to really be clear on how to approach fueling during this long ride and then preparing to go to Waco. Even though my body was tired, I went and did Waco. It hurt, but I had energy for days. I was like a supercharged animal. The academy was fantastic in the methodology that you taught us to prepare.
So I wouldn't recommend backing up 8 days of running with a 70.3, but you DNF'd that race last year. So you didn't have a great lead in, and then you still smashed it and redeemed yourself on that course despite having shattered legs.
That's right. And they were shattered for real on this course. But yeah, I went in with a great attitude and just, like I said, very clear on what to do during the race, on how much fuel to take, when to take it, and how much to eat and what I should feel like. And I did it and it worked.
Yeah, and the same as that ride. So what sort of things did you implement? What strategies did you implement for that ride that allowed you to then back up and do a 70.3?
Well, a couple of things. From our course, I did some sweat testing and found that I'm in the 93rd percentile of sodium loss, heavy sweaters. So I'll sweat 2 liters an hour on a hard effort and upwards of 2.5 grams of sodium. So I made sure to take that, and I pulled back on food. I've been overeating, just thinking I needed more, and I didn't. So through practicing your worksheets and training, I've learned to periodize, and knowing how much effort I was going to put, I can eat appropriately. And so I was never hungry, never ran out of energy, but I didn't overeat on any day. It was wonderful. That's
really good insight, because the messaging out there at the moment is like more, more, more. You know, everyone should be having 120 grams of carbs an hour. But you realize that wasn't the case for you. It was more a hydration thing. And so that's really insightful for people to hear when we feel like we're going to miss out almost if we're not like hitting 90, 100, 110 grams of carbs an hour. It's not necessarily the thing that's going to fix us.
Yes, that's 100% true. And it was nerve-wracking, but I trusted the method and the expert that was teaching us, and it worked.
Oh, thanks, mate. Shameless plug.
That's right.
What about you, Gail? You've had a big year as well, and I feel like you're only just getting started because you haven't been on the podcast before. These two guys, they've been there, done that. I feel like I definitely know them really well. But you, Gail, have come to triathlon really late in life, and yeah, you're only just getting started. So tell the good people how long you've been doing triathlon for and how you got into it and what you've been up to in 2023.
Sure. Yeah, I started my triathlons in 2022. My first triathlon was Madison. It was a half Ironman 70.3.
Crazy that your first is a 70.3. Like, what is with our mindset? You're like, yep, wow. Straight to that.
Well, in addition to that, I had just learned how to swim not even a year before that, because it was crazy. But I was like, if you're going to go in, go all in.
Bravo.
So that's what I did. Thank you. But in doing that 70.3, I learned a lot of lessons. And one of them was I had no idea what I was doing with nutrition. I had a horrible gut in my run on that triathlon, and I knew I needed help. And what I was being taught and what I was listening to and what I was learning about obviously weren't the right things. So when I heard about Erin through another podcast, which was Effortless Swimming, I heard her on that podcast, and I followed right over to her. I'm like, this woman knows what she's talking about. Let's go.
Do you make it?
Join the academy. And I joined the academy right away without any question. I'm like, I know I need this. But I've learned so much. I didn't understand the relationship between body weight and mass and the types of foods you need to eat and when and how much. And I had no idea when I was running, I was suffering really horrible runner's gut. And I thought for a long time it was the type of food I was eating. But it ended up being a combination of that and the nutrients I was taking, the nutrition, the gels I was taking as I was running. I didn't even think that would be a problem. I'm thinking, well, everybody's doing this. What's the problem? So in learning a lot from you, Taryn, and having talked to you even before my triathlon in June in Iowa, my 70.3 in Iowa, you helped me straighten that nutrition out. You helped me guide me as to what I should be eating before that and during the race. And it was magic. I bettered my time from Madison by a half hour in Iowa. I placed 10th in my age group. I was on cloud 9 and I got a slot in Worlds. So super. So I ended up going there too, which was a crazy, wonderful experience. But yeah. So yeah, and I'm continuing to evolve. I'm continuing to learn. What I really want to get good at is that periodization. I'm still not quite there on that, but vegetables have become my best friend. I just opened my fridge the other day and had all these vegetables. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. it's a whole different change in lifestyle, and it's going to continue for the rest of my life. And I've never felt better. I've never felt like I've had more energy. It's been wonderful. So yeah, as you said, continuing evolution going forward, and I'm sure it's going to carry me through 2024.
Yeah, and you are only just getting started. Like, it is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you've literally just learned to swim. You've literally just entered the sport. You start smacking out 70.3s and then doing massive PBs. Like, I'm so excited to see where you go. And, like, thank you for entrusting me to educate you with your nutrition really early on, because that's one of the things that people really struggle with for years before they actually seek advice from a dietitian. Like, we find our advice from everywhere else first and then like actually invest some time and money in a professional in that space. So thank you for entrusting me really early on, like just diving in the deep end. I really appreciate that. So in the last like 12 months or so, what's been the best lesson that you've learnt with your nutrition?
It is all about what you eat and the types of food you're eating, and not to eat more fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, mostly fresh vegetables, and just the right amount of protein. I mean, I was under that impression with the keto diet and all of that stuff coming through, that more protein was better. And to have you talk to us about, okay, you need a balance, or you need to have, like a fistful of protein kind of, and you have to base it on your body mass and your weight. That to me was like mind blowing. And don't be afraid of carbs. That as well. Yeah. That's a huge message.
That's a big one, isn't it? I can't believe we're still so carb phobic. We'll get there. I'm just going to change triathletes one person at a time. But it's undoing like 30 years of like diet culture mindset around carbohydrate. We'll get there. What about you, Erin?
I think the biggest thing for me throughout the year has been, we say, well, this works for so-and-so and this works for them. And even saying something that works for me may be amazing for me, but it's not necessarily going to be amazing for somebody else. So unlike Gail, I came with 11 years of trying other people's plans, things that had worked for them. And I made it through a lot of races that way, but it just finding and taking the time to find what works best for me, using the math that you teach us to use and then tweaking it until it's right, is honestly, that's been the biggest thing for me, is to kind of tone out everybody else, stop watching my Instagram ads, and actually figure out what I need for the workout I'm doing tomorrow, the race I'm doing today, periodizing it and paying attention to what I'm actually doing and making sure I'm fueling for that activity.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like, we get so sidetracked, don't we, by everything that gets shoved in our face. And particularly endurance sport, there are so many noisy marketing messages. And our personality type, we're like, give me more, tell me more, and I don't want to miss out by not doing this thing. And then we end up, like Chris, wasting a shit ton of money on stuff that we don't actually need and doesn't serve us, because we are worried that we will not perform to the best of our ability without all this stuff. What about you, Chris? Segue into how much money I'm saving you.
That's right. Yeah, the $300-$400 a month I saved.
US.
US, yeah. Ties in. It's a combination of what both Erin and Gail said. The periodization was huge for me, and adding variety into the periodization. So looking at my training calendar, my schedule, and looking and assessing the intensity and the duration of the workout, kind of the easy, moderate, hard, and then eating appropriately for those made a huge difference. But then adding variety let me get the proper nutrients so I could cut back on the supplements and still feel good, because I don't want to think about all those things. So I found something to eat, and I would just eat that all the time. I ate a bowl of oatmeal every day for 2 years because that's what I ate. And after going through the class, I've got lots of things to eat now. You got the recipes and but it made me pay attention to how I felt after I ate, because I would eat something different. I was worried, so I'd pay attention. And I realized feeling meh was not normal. I had accepted it as normal, or the runners got during a race when I would be so tired, I just want to go to sleep. That wasn't normal. I shouldn't feel like that. But it wasn't until doing, the periodization and adding whole foods and more variety of foods on a regular basis that I learned what really proper nutrition feels like. So there was a lot in that answer, but it all ties together.
Yeah,
me.
and sometimes you don't know how good you can feel until you feel that, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, that wasn't normal.
No.
And we do wear that with a bit of a badge of honor, I think, as triathletes. We're like, I'm meant to feel tired. Like, I'm training for an Ironman here. Like, I'm meant to be sleeping all day on the weekends. But no, that is not a yardstick and not a badge that we want to wear with honor. You actually, like, want to feel supercharged.
Yeah.
I remember really clearly, like it was yesterday, talking to you before you jumped into the program in September 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, Taryn, can you help me understand how to eat with all these supplements and things that I'm taking? Like, I'm really afraid to stop taking them because I'm like so reliant on this stuff. Is it possible to do this?
Yeah. I still have it in my cabinet because I do remember the conversation. I was really wanted to join and learn, but I was scared that I was going to crash and burn. It was going to be another gimmick and you're going to lead me down a path that I was going to have to figure out how to recover and get back on track. So it didn't happen.
Thank you for entrusting me.
Yeah. And I still have this cabinet full of bottles and I've got to figure out what to do with them because I don't take them anymore.
I don't know. I've got no suggestions for you either because I'm like super frugal and you can't bin them. But what do you do with them? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some good lessons there from all of you. And I think like a good resounding theme for most people is that periodization piece, and that as a triathlete that trains for 3 sports in a week, like we have very different types of training days. You will feel so much more energy and, less tiredness and fatigue if you do understand how to eat on those different days. But it is probably, while it is a big rock, it is probably one of the hardest things to do in practice. Like for Chris, I know that you were eating out a lot and you weren't sure how to do that with eating out at restaurants and things. Like what sort of strategies have you been working on to get periodization happening for you in your life?
So when I'm traveling, I will eat more simple foods, like just a basic pasta with some chicken on it or a salad with some salmon on it. And I find that to be more satisfying and just as filling. It's fulfilling enough rather than I really like the rich, tasty, spicy foods that I was eating, but it left me feeling bad. My mouth was happy, but my body wasn't. Yeah. So I'll use that strategy. But at home, I just have healthy snacks. I buy a lot more fruit now. So the emotional habit I have of just going to grab something, I'll grab a grapefruit or an apple or some granola bars, not bars, but little granola nuggets, a couple of those. And that will satisfy what's going on with me mentally or emotionally for the moment without eating the candy and overeating something. So the fruit is much more satisfying. That's what I'll do. And I just make bigger plates if I've got big days coming up, or eat smaller amounts. And I talk to my wife because she tends to do most of the meal prep. She doesn't like me in the kitchen other than cutting up fruit. So I have to communicate with her what's coming up and what kind of food. And she likes to prepare stuff for me. So
what a legend.
Do it. Yeah.
Can I borrow her? I need a wife.
Me too. I hate cooking.
What about you, Erin? Because, you don't cook a lot, but what have you done to implement periodization with the type of way that you like to eat?
Yeah, so I'm not a great cook. I get very frustrated when I cook, but I use a meal delivery service. I won't plug which one it is, but they send me food and it's all pre-measured. So I'm still cooking. It's just the thought's done for me. And so what I'll do as soon as it comes on Tuesdays, and I will write on the top of it how much, because you have to look it up online, but how much of each macro that they claim is in each one. And then so I will choose which ones I'm going to eat on which day based on which workout I'm doing. And I have to do a lot of adding. Usually I'll add a sweet potato or a baked potato because they tend to be a little lower carb meals, but I have found a way, sometimes rice, sometimes potatoes, sometimes sweet potatoes, to make them have enough carbs for whether it's a hard plate or a moderate plate.
Yeah. And you know what you need to hit, which is kind of refreshing too, because you don't have to second guess whether you have enough or don't have enough and then, feel crap in a few days' time and go, what did I do that made me feel like that?
Right. Exactly. So.
Yeah, amazing.
Even as a non-cook, I have managed to figure out.
Yeah. I think that's really awesome because there are plenty of people that don't cook. And so you still need to eat. You need to put the right fuel in your engine. No matter how you do that, it doesn't have to be complicated. We have the entire recipe database at your disposal. But if, you hate being in the kitchen and it's not something that you enjoy doing, then there are plenty of other ways to layer in periodization without having to slave away for hours. What about you, Gail? I know that's something that you're working on still, but what sort of things have you changed in that space to make sure you're eating a bit better to support training demands?
I started out simple and basically just took your meal plans and just went with that. I absolutely despise grocery shopping. So I went online and I found a food delivery service, and I would open up your recipe and I'd just tick off everything and have them deliver it to my house. And I went from there and just, like Erin was saying, I would look at the macros in there and figure out which ones would be the best ones to have on the day, because not necessarily were your days lining up with my workouts. But I absolutely did not think I could cook good food until I was using your recipes. They're so simple. They're so amazing. I could not even cut vegetables. I was so horrible with a knife, and I've gotten so much better and efficient. And I love it. I feel lost on the weeks that I can't use your recipes for whatever reason, if I'm traveling or whatever. So I appreciate those recipes very much. And I want to start getting into a little bit more of my own meal planning with surrounding your recipes. And I want to start using some of like your shakes that you have and things like that. I haven't quite delved into those, but yeah, the smoothies, I would love to try those. Those are on my list of things to do. And hopefully I'll get to those this winter and start playing around with those. And yeah, it's a fabulous database. I think I would recommend it to anybody to at least try to get in there and use some of those recipes. They're delicious. I never even thought I'd like lamb until I was like, lamb, oh my. I mean, that's not a thing here in the States, at least for me. And it's delicious. It's fabulous. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for expanding my food horizons.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I guess, maybe it is more of an Australian meat choice. I didn't think about that in the US. We get a lot of it from kind of New Zealand as well. So Gail was talking about the weekly menu planning service that Academy athletes get as part of the program. And that's where I map out your dinners for the week, give you the shopping list to get everything that you need, as well as the recipe to follow to do that. And people either do it or don't. Like, it's definitely a tool that you've got at your disposal, because one of my goals is to make eating like super easy and efficient for you. And some people are right in straight away, and other people don't find out about it until like they're through and they're like, oh, this has been here the whole time. But particularly for people that hate shopping and hate cooking and don't want to think about it, like, it's my happy place. Like, that is my love language, like planning someone's meals for the week and making sure all the protein sources are variable. And we've got like easy cook options on those busy nights where maybe you've got a late swim session and you've got to come home and, dinner's leftovers or it's in the freezer or something like that. That is my jam. So you have that tool in your tool belt if you need help in that department. But then, all three of you eat really differently. So it's good to hear that whatever way that you like to eat or whatever fits in with your lifestyle, you can still make sure you're matching your fueling to your training demands, which is so pivotal as a triathlete. Are you a triathlete sick of fumbling around in the dark with your nutrition? Is nutrition the missing link in helping you reach your goals? And do you want to maximize your training efforts and level up your performance? Of course you do. Come and join me for free at Fuel School. It's a free 3-day live and online nutrition training week. And I've designed it to give you the nutritional edge in 2024 and lay the foundation of your day-to-day fueling and race nutrition. It's on the 14th to the 16th of January, 9 a.m. Brisbane time, so Australian Eastern Standard Time every day, which is 3 p.m. PST, 5 p.m. CST, and 6 p.m. EST on the 13th to the 15th of January. To register, head to fuel.school. Yep, www.fuel.school. Whether you're a seasoned triathlete or just starting your nutrition journey, this free event is your opportunity to learn from an advanced sports dietitian and triathlon nutrition specialist and transform the way you approach your nutrition for 2024. Fuel.school. It's free. I'll see you there. So So moving forwards to 2024, what are you guys working on this year? Like, what events have you got coming up? And like we said right in the beginning, nutrition's not set and forget. So what's kind of your goals for 2024 to level up your nutrition this year?
I had, even before I started the academy, so actually about 6 months before that, I have basically been in race prep mode because I race a lot. And so I had some winter races, and I basically have been in race prep mode from middle of 2022 all through 2023. So I am stepping back just a little from not necessarily the amount of races, but the length of races, and going to work a little bit more on speed this year. But in doing that, making sure I have more of a development phase, and in that development phase, working hard on bringing periodization to include the light plates. Because I've been in race prep mode for so long, it's always been moderate and high for me. So working on bringing that light plate in, and perhaps maybe having some body composition changes wouldn't be terrible at the beginning of this year, just so I can be faster when races do start. So that's what 2024 is going to be working on for me, is we keep talking about it, but more on periodization and learning how to do the light plates every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Because you do race a lot. You race like most weekends, and we'll often do a double header on that same weekend, like race Saturday and Sunday. You just love it.
Yeah, I do.
And your goal is to qualify for Worlds in Townsville in August?
So that was originally the goal, but having done Spain this past fall and the travel that went along with that, I'm backpedaling a little bit on Australia. That is a long flight from here. So
come on, you've got to come and do Sunny Coast 70.3 with us.
It's not off the plate completely yet, but definitely giving it some more thought.
We'll get you. Chris is coming. We got the FOMO into Chris, and he's coming now.
FOMO is so real, but trying to be logical and smart about it.
It is a long way, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's 24 hours on a plane. It's crazy. But, you know, You just come for a few weeks. You don't come for a weekend.
Maybe.
We'll work on you. What about you, Chris?
My last race of the year was Ironman Cozumel in November. So I decided I don't have anything on the calendar until Sunny Coast in September of 2024. And my goal is to lean out, really spend the time leaning out and changing body composition like Erin. I'm carrying a little too much body fat, and I want to get lighter so that I can develop some strength, also work on strength for better running, and then come down to Sunny Coast and have a great race and spend time with the TNA group, you know, the FOMO. And so Erin just feel really jealous, and you'll be there. Hopefully you'll be there. You won't feel, but you'll join us. But the group, we had such a good bond that I think a lot of us signed up. 4 or 5 have agreed to come down and register to do Sunny Coast. So that's on the calendar, and the logistics are crazy. Like you said, Erin, it's crazy. So it's going to be an ordeal to get there, but I'll stay for at least 2 weeks, maybe 2.5.
Maybe 3, maybe 4. You could even work from Australia if you had to. I can help you with the logistics. That part's easy. You just got to get there probably a couple of weeks before the race so you're not jet lagged and you can kind of acclimatize. It's not like crazy hot. You live in Texas, but just get used to the temperature and, jet lag. You don't want to turn up to a race jet lagged and then hope to perform to the best of your ability.
That's right.
We're going to do some testing and stuff with you guys as well. So don't worry. We'll get you hook, line and sinker, Erin. And maybe you too, Gail. Yeah.
Make a TNA party.
Yeah. I'll come to America next year, the year after that, 2025, right? We're going to maybe do Hawaii or something.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys don't have to travel so far.
There's a 70.3 about 45 minutes from my house. We could just do that one.
But Hawaii, Erin, Hawaii.
Are you moving to Hawaii?
I live on the beach.
Steve's got a timeshare, so we're just figuring out how many people we can cram into that. All right, what about you, Gail? 2024? Like we said, you're just getting started. Like, what are the plans this year? And maybe even take us a bit beyond that.
It's interesting because both Chris and Erin have exactly the same idea I do. I did 3 70.3s in 2023, my last one in December in Florida. So, and the Chicago Marathon in October. And I felt like, it's time the results weren't all of what I wanted it to be. So I want to do a lot more, again, body composition changes. I want to get stronger, want to get a little leaner. And my first thing on the calendar is in Madison in September right now. So that's the 70.3 as well. And yeah, I'm focusing a lot on myself. I want to do a little bit shorter events, like Erin was saying, like half marathons, things like that. And shorter, I want to try actually a shorter distance triathlon and see what that's like. I have no, I have no idea. I'm sure I'll finish. But yeah, I'd like to try that, see how that goes. That's it. But yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same story that Chris and Erin had in terms of focusing on the self and kind of getting the body into a, now that I have the nutrition part down, using that to my advantage and getting into the better shape that I know I can be and becoming the athlete that I want to be. I just started. But, I want to keep getting better. I want to keep improving my times. And hopefully someday, I have my fingers crossed, I'll get on the podium, and it's not because I'm the only one in my age group left. I'd like there to be competition in there too. So those are my goals.
You are going to be so surprised by how little effort a sprint distance race is compared to always preparing for 70.3. Like, you could literally just turn up tomorrow and do one and you would be fine.
That's why I can race as much as I do, Gail. I do short races mostly.
Yeah. But so interesting that all three of you, now that you're through the program, you want to shift focus a little bit to body composition, because it's not something we talk about. Like, we do talk about it, but getting as light and lean and fast as possible is not like step one. Step one is actually understanding how to fuel your body and putting those foundations in place with what you're eating on a day-to-day basis and getting your race nutrition right. And then I'm a firm believer that when you have that dialed in, your body composition sorts itself out. It's not something that we need to really drastically chase, and we need to make sure we have enough energy availability for our just daily functions of life before doing anything crazy. So super interesting to hear you guys all say that now that you're like, all right, I've got my nutrition sorted. How do we tweak and finesse it and do those little more kind of maybe 1%ers to get to, I want to say ideal, but it's not ideal, because it'll sort itself out if you eat properly consistently over time.
I also wanted to take some time. I've been on, like, if you think about an engine revving on high and medium high for a couple of years, preparing for these endurance events consistently. But I wanted to just give my body and my mind a chance to simmer and be on medium low for a little while and recover in a way and eat lighter. I mean, it allows me to eat lighter. I can still eat and for performance, but I don't need to have such a high level of that all the time. It's almost will feel like, I imagine it will be a relief for a little while.
So interesting. Like, both you and Erin are like that. You're like full guns blazing, and it's like, okay, let's just take a step back for a sec. All right. So you three, it's been fun wrangling 4 people on a podcast, but thank you for sharing, what you've been working on and kind of where your thoughts are now as you set yourself up for the next 12 months. I think it's really good to hear from people that have got good nutrition knowledge now, that it's not all over Red Rover in a way. It's really just the stepping stone into, this is really corny, but like the rest of your life. So do you have any advice for someone that is, thinking about making 2024 the year that they do work on their nutrition, but they're worried about the investment in time and money to do that?
I said it when I did the last podcast. I waited 11 years, the dumbest thing I did. So don't wait. That's starting in January, especially seems so logical. It's a great time. You can work into what I found starting in January, and Gail probably found it too, that you get the puzzle pieces a little at a time, and, they come together perfectly for that summer season and, even into the fall. So starting in January is a great time. And I don't wait. You'll be sad.
FOMO's real.
Yeah.
FOMO is real.
Yeah. I would say if education is never a bad choice to make, but if you want to really accelerate your development as an athlete and as a human, take a course that's systematically designed by an athlete for athletes to teach you how to eat and fuel your body. This is a fantastic choice. I mean, we're all everyday athletes. There's just nothing, we're not pros or sponsored to say this. This is our experience. So I don't think there's any downside. You'll save the money on all the extras that you're taking that everybody's doing it. So you're going to save the money on the course. You'll get that back, return multifold.
Yeah, I remember your episode, Chris, you told me that I'm charging not enough and I need to increase my prices because you're in like a net positive.
Yeah.
What about you, Gail?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest takeaways for me and my advice to others is to learn what I learned, which is how nutrition fits in and the science behind it and the numbers behind it, because carb loading is one thing, but to understand how much to eat based on, you as a person, and to learn like the why behind it, to me at least was incredibly important and enlightening. And I would highly recommend that any athlete in any age group or beyond, even just everyday life, would learn exactly what kind of food to eat and why they're eating it. And I think you're going to just have so much more energy and just feel so much better about yourself going forward. So
one of the magical things about the program that we don't talk about a whole lot is many triathletes now try to follow the pros and go for 100, 120 grams an hour of carbs. But what we don't understand is that if you just keep taking glucose, you're maxed out at 60. How are you going to get that extra beyond? You're just going to take more and more? You're not going to get it. So going through a program like this where you learn the science and the methodology of actually fueling properly, you'll know how you're going to get to that 100, 120. And do you just jump to it? Or is there an approach that's going to keep your gut healthy? So there's a lot of little nuanced magic in this course.
Don't give away our secrets.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm also going to add another fabulous thing about this course is the fact that you're in a group and you have the camaraderie with the other triathletes. To me, that's huge. I've trained alone, since I started doing triathlon. So hearing what other people have to say about what they're going through and what kind of nutrition problems they've struggled with, and, how tired they are after a swim or whatever, and me listening going, yeah, that's me. I know that exact same problem. It's just so encouraging to hear that from other athletes as well. So you don't feel like you're just like the only person experiencing this, being like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. It must be me. But it's, the camaraderie and getting to know other people is just, it's an absolute bonus in this program. So
awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. And no, I didn't pay them to say that. Can't afford it. But I think it's really important to put, age group triathletes out there and share what they're up to, because we do tend to look to the pros for so many things, and we are completely different beasts to the pros, but you get very heavily marketed to as an endurance athlete for all the things. And if I can save you time and money with all the crap that you don't need and time in the kitchen if you hate it, then it's a win-win.
Definitely.
Doors are open this week if you do want to come and join these legends, and, maybe come and do Sunny Coast 17.3 with us if you want to. Like, no pressure, but that's going to be a really fun race. And we do have people from America and Canada traveling to come and join us. So that is a good testament to how awesome the athletes are inside the program. So dietitianapproved.com/academy if you want to jump in. Doors will close on Monday the 22nd or Sunday the 21st if you're in the US, and then that's it for at least 3 to 6 months. So if 2024 is the year that you want to get supercharged, now is the opportunity to join us. Thank you guys so much for shooting the breeze with me. You can all go to bed now because it's all late where you are. But successfully wrangled 3 triathletes on one podcast. So thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. It's always a joy talking with you, Erin.
Thanks, Erin.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast. I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or want to share with me what you've learnt, email me at podcast@dietitianapproved.com. You can also spread the word by leaving me a review and taking a screenshot of you listening to the show. Don't forget to tag me on social media at dietitian.approved so I can give you a shout out too. If you want to learn more about what we do, head to dietitianapproved.com. And if you want to learn more about the Triathlon Nutrition Academy program, head to dietitianapproved.com/academy. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to helping you smash it in the fourth leg. Nutrition!